is our Civic Mirror Reflection. So guys, what were the biggest things that you learned through Civic Mirror?
Well, I think we can all agree on the three main lessons. The one applied most to me was that people are not always what they seem. I personally was much too trusting of other people, and if the simulation had lasted any longer, people would have taken advantage of that trust.
I definitely agree with that one, but my biggest lesson was in financial planning. I learned firsthand that good financial planning can really take you far.
I'd have to say that my biggest lesson would be that society benefits most when people work together. This was best seen during the blackout plan, because even though it didn't work well, we had fewer deaths and we had better communication.
What did you learn about yourselves from this simulation?
My biggest strength was possibly not spending all my money at once. I only spent my money on necessities like food and shelter. My weakness was getting everything that I was supposed to get, such as 2 educations.
My biggest strength, I think, was my financial skills. However, my weakness was I often refused to consider the perspectives of others.
My biggest strength was definitely compromise and seeing both sides of the argument. My biggest weakness was being too trusting of people.
So Lily, it seems like sometimes people got the best of you. What happened with that?
Well, I started out the simulation very trusting of people. I really think that now I realize that not everyone is what they appear to be, and now I see most people a little differently. I gave my complete trust to everyone, including the fascists, Dominic and Aaron. In order to improve myself, I need to be more wary of those that I associate myself with.
Natalie and Evelyn, do you agree with her?
At the beginning of the game, I also thought it wasn't going to be as brutal as it turned out to be. I thought people were going to be more understanding and calm, rather than being as selfish as they were.
Definitely, at the start of the game, I did not expect people to play so brutally either. I think now that I've realized that people's actions are centered around self-interest, and most people prove themselves to be bloodthirsty and money-hungry.
But you didn't do so badly with money yourself. What was your strategy for financial planning, and how did it affect your success in the game?
Well, first it should be made clear that I was a capitalist, and gaining money was one of my main objectives. Also, a certain amount of luck was involved with this, because I started out with a good amount of money. The real reason that I got so much profit was because I owned a lot of properties. I was the sole owner of 4 different properties, which gave me a larger profit margin than those involved in a business alliance because all the money went to me.
How did financial planning affect you, Natalie?
I started out with a decent amount of money, and I bought all of the luxuries that I wanted. While this didn't affect me in the years we played, over time, this strategy would have made me poor.
I began as a minority, so I had very little money to deal with. However, I used it wisely to buy food and shelter and not luxuries.
So the cooperation in the second year helped you more than the every man for himself attitude in the first?
Yeah, in the second year, I had less money, but they passed legislation that would have given me and other minorities more opportunity.
On another topic, what did you learn about legislation?
I learned how difficult the law-making process really is. At first, I thought that it would be extremely easy, but I was wrong. It is extremely hard to pass laws. People all have these issues with laws we have to pass, and sometimes I just want it to be like, get over it. I can't even imagine how hard it would be to make laws for a country, saying as it was hard enough just to make laws for 27 people.
Well, I learned that as a citizen, you have to fight to make yourself heard. Everyone in society has an opinion, and they all want to share it. This definitely showed me how long the legislative process is.
The lawmaking process was more complex than I had suspected. There were many stubborn people, and at times it seemed it would be impossible to please them. I agree with Evelyn that as a citizen, you have to fight to make yourself heard.
So clearly the process of Civic Mirror was not easy. What were some things that really frustrated you?
Trying to convince people and make people listen to your opinions seemed impossible with some people. Some seemed to not even care what you had to say, and you couldn't do a lot about it.
Especially during activities that involved the whole class. I found that making myself heard was very frustrating. This taught me that people don't always value or even want your opinion. Though I don't like this, I have to accept it sometimes.
I got extremely frustrated with the criticism that I received. People would say just one little thing about me, and I literally ranted about my past for a couple hours that night. I have to realize that differences are natural, and that I need to accept that not everyone has the same opinion as me.
Well, thanks guys for your time and cooperation.